Hey, everybody, welcome to Jersey First TV. Elizabeth Nader with you tonight. We are bringing you a forum for the candidates running for the Board of Education in Parsippany. We are excited to do this. We're doing it in partnership with Tap into Parsippany, who I would like to thank for bringing our stream in live to their site tonight. There are 5 candidates running. 4 are on tonight. We're having technical difficulties with Susie Golderer, so she can't make it into this particular stream, but we do have the rest of them here tonight. I want to thank all the candidates for being here. The goal of this forum is for your constituents, the voters in Parsippany, to get to know you, where you stand on a few issues that we can bring up tonight, and so they can understand who they want to put their confidence in. We will be absolutely fair in giving everyone time to answer each question, the same amount of time. So I'm going to start with each of you to give a 1-minute introduction. And as you get close to the end of that 1 minute, if you see me raise my hand, please wrap up. You will have 2 minutes to answer each question. Please do the same thing. Keep in mind, we want to keep everybody within that time frame. We're not going to have rebuttals, no conversations between candidates. This is really about you being able to put your best foot forward and share with the constituents of Parsippany your views and the candidacy you're running. So let's go ahead and start with Robert Quinn. I'd like to give you a minute, Robert, to please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for logging on tonight, and thank you to our host, Jersey First and Tap into Parsippany. It's great to see our community come together with parents, teachers, administration, and township officials taking such an interest in our children's future. My name is Robert Quinn, and I'm a lifelong Parsippany resident, a proud product of the Parsippany school system, and proud to be with you tonight as a candidate for Board of Education. Currently, I'm pursuing my degree in political science, and I remain employed within the township. While I do not have any children of my own, several of my family members are students within the Parsippany school system. I plan on staying in town and starting a family of my own when the time comes. I'd like to have my children and all children to have access to the same educational opportunities as I did. I remain active in the community since my graduation by attending township council meetings, Board of Education meetings, and other community events. Because I am involved in town, I have forged strong relationship with leaders at the state and local levels. Our sense of mission must embrace a partnership with the entire community at large, from our students to our staff, to our taxpayers, and to our government leadership, both locally and in Trenton. Not only do we want to provide a thorough and efficient education system, we want to enable our students to become future leaders while ensuring our taxpayers' investment is utilized wisely.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, Jack Raia, let's go to you next. Jack, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jack Raia. I grew up in Parsippany, and I attended Littleton, Brooklawn Junior High School, and Parsippany Hills High School. I'm a certified public accountant, and I have an MBA in finance from Seton Hall in finance and international business. I'm a senior financial executive for a company in New York City, which has a footprint on 4 different continents. For 18 years, I was the chief financial officer for the company. We went through a strategic transaction, and for the last 3 years, I've been the company's group treasurer. In addition, in 2012, I took an executive education class at Harvard Business School called Driving Corporate Performance. It involved in ways to improve corporate performance, but a lot of the skills that I learned there have applicability with the Board of Education. And from the meetings that I've attended, I think that there are a number of places where I can add value to the board overall. And I'm looking forward to helping in that regard, in joining the board, and if I'm lucky enough to be elected, and helping to improve the process, which I think is already a good process, but even a good process can be improved upon.
Thank you, Jack. Okay, we will go next to Sheethal Abraham. Sheethal, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Sheethal Abraham. I am honored to be among these terrific fellow candidates in hopes of becoming a member of the Board of Education for Parsippany Troy Hills. My husband Reno and I moved here a little over 2 years ago with our 2 young children. During the challenging last year and a half, I decided to run for the board to have the opportunity to advocate for both students and parents and to hopefully give them more choices in their educational decisions. I have 1 son in 3rd grade and a toddler. As a daughter of a teacher, education has always been of utmost importance. I am committed in giving back to my community in the ways my mom did in both India and in New York. I have a goal of making sure that children have the most positive and wonderful experiences from their elementary through high school years. I have a Bachelor of Business Administration, and in recent years, I have worked for 2 different pharmaceutical benefit management companies as a financial analyst before choosing to stay home with my youngest. I want to serve in my capacity to understand the needs of the students, parents, and the staff. I believe every child deserves a well-balanced education, but that we should also work towards achieving that without spending unnecessarily and to find ways to keep money in the classrooms. If I'm elected, I want to maintain student safety, mental, physical, and emotional health, and academic achievements, fiscal responsibility, special education, and transparency and parental choice and voice, as well as technology. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheethal. Okay, Judy Mayer, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes, thank you. Hi, I'm Judy Mayer. I want to thank Jersey First and Tap into Parsippany for sponsoring this event. I have lived in Parsippany for 43 years. My 3 children have attended Parsippany schools, K through 12. The education they received was outstanding. They were more than prepared for their futures in college. I joined the educational community and was a teacher in Parsippany for 22 years before my retirement in 2013. It was my wish to continue service to the students of the district. I became a Board of Education member in 2014. As a sitting board member, I feel great responsibility to the students, staff, and taxpayers of Parsippany. My focus has always been what is in the best interest of these groups. Parents, especially, trust that their students are getting the best education possible, as well as the safe environment. I do not take that lightly. I have attended all board meetings and listened thoughtfully to the public when they express their opinions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Judy. Okay, we have 5 questions for you tonight. By no means are they comprehensive of all the things that you will face on the Board of Education, but we took things that we felt that the community cared about right now that are in the news, items that are important to Parsippany. So you each have up to 2 minutes to respond. Please do pay attention to me when I raise my hand that the 2 minutes is ending. You don't have to take the full 2 minutes, and we will randomly go through the different names for each of you to respond. So we're going to start with question number 1. Jack, I would like you to go first. And that question is, what is your vision for education in your community?
Okay, I'd like to see a merit-based system that provides opportunities for students to be challenged as much as possible based on their abilities. Students have strength in some areas and weaknesses in others. Students would benefit from an environment where they can discover and enhance their strengths. I stray from conventional thinking in some ways in that college isn't for everybody. There are many careers that don't require a college education and may involve learning a trade and may avoid incurring 6 figures in debt. But there are many satisfying careers. And one of the reasons for high school is for students to discover where their strengths may lie and what they want to pursue. I'll give you one personal example of that. My father started off as a mason contractor. He was a mason foreman. And when we were kids, he used to drive us around, and show us like some of the buildings that he was involved in building. One of them is that he really loved was the Apollo building on Passaic Avenue in Fairfield. So he did, he was involved with all the masonry on that building. He was a contractor at the time. So I think that students will find that they can get a lot of job satisfaction. I can tell you this: I'm an accountant, and I never did show my sons my audit report that we would finish at the end of the school year. So people can get satisfaction out of various careers. And I think that this is that high school is an opportunity for kids to discover what their strengths and weaknesses are. And teachers can help encourage them to pursue that.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Judy, please share with us the vision you have for education in your community.
Thank you. My vision is to meet the academic needs of all students. We need to ensure curriculum reflects today's challenges. Students at all levels need to be supportive and encouraged to grow. For example, there were summer programs available to students. There was an accelerated program for high school students to take full-length course for transcripted high school credit. The Summer Step Zones program was optional to help students maintain and review their skills for the upcoming school year. There was ESL support. Our current budget included funding for additional special ed classes, additional academic support for students, as well as continued implementation of the district's technology plan. We are currently in partnership with FDU and NJIT that gives our high school students access to those particular sites. They take classes in Parsippany, and in the case of NJIT, they can apply for enrollment in the admissions program in their freshman year. We also we have a very rigorous STEM program that's where our students get a lot of hands-on activities. I do agree with Mr. Raia that there are other options for students. There doesn't have to be academic endeavors in their future. There can be service, there can be lots of different activities. We do try to provide a myriad of opportunities for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Sheethal, let's go to you now and tell us about the vision you have for education in Parsippany.
Thank you. My vision for education in Parsippany Troy Hills is that it remains a fun, collaborative, transparent, and engaging for both students and parents. I hope that they both feel that they can be as involved as they want to be, especially for parents and what happens in their school communities. I never want any of them to feel like they can't ask any questions, no matter what the subject. If I were to be a board member, to actually listen, to understand the concerns of both parents and students and work hard to find solutions that'll work for all of them. I want to make sure that all the students have a wonderful, well-rounded experience in their education that not only their academic excellence, but also takes into consideration all of their needs. And I want them to learn how to think critically as much as possible, as I believe it will serve them well in their future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sheethal. And finally, Robert, if we'll go to you next, share with us the vision you have for education in Parsippany.
So the vision that I have for Parsippany is one in which students are prepared for higher education, and if not, the real world or other employment opportunities. I would like to see class sizes kept down as low as possible to create more of a personal relationship between teachers and students, one where students aren't afraid to ask questions. And I think, put best by Ronald Reagan, we have to make sure that we're teaching not what's in fashion, but what's important.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Okay, so question number 2. Judy, we're going to start with you. Residential overdevelopment is a problem throughout New Jersey. How would you ensure that classes in Parsippany schools are not overcrowded?
Thank you for that question. That is the big question. Development is not controlled by the Board of Education. Parsippany has to have so much affordable housing. The board's responsibility is to deal with the impact this development has in our schools. There is a potential of a great many students being added. The Board of Ed has had a demographic study done. It gave a good idea of where an impact might be felt. The decision on how to handle the impact is to either build a new school, add on to a school, or see if there might be an existing building which may be purchased. Many years ago, Mount Tabor School was reopened to deal with overcrowding. The goal is to do what is best for our students. Class size is of critical importance. Being an elementary teacher, I know that the larger the class, the more difficult it is for the teacher to be as effective. I am totally a proponent of smaller classes. And if we get an influx of a lot of kids through the development, it's going to be very hard to maintain that class size correct thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Judy. Sheethal, we'll go to you next to answer the same question about residential overdevelopment and ensuring class sizes are not too large, not overcrowded.
Thank you. I believe that part of the problem we're facing is due to not just population increases, but also due to decreases in funding and the amount of teachers that we have. Teaching in a crowded classroom is stressful for everyone, and it can be frustrating for both teachers and students. I know for myself, as a mother of a special needs child, his entire school experience relies on small class sizes so that the teacher can meet his needs, both academically and emotionally, as he just cannot focus in a large classroom setting with the noise, distractions, and lack of individual attention. I am grateful that he has an aide that gives him the focused attention he needs, even when the teacher may be busy with another student. I'm always in touch with our local representatives, from senators down, to make them aware of the needs as I come to know them. I'm also hopeful that there may be grants or local donations that may be able to help reduce the class sizes and help the teachers and students. We would also like to have a look at the enrollment and school capacities and determine if class size limits are an option or new school construction, but that would of course be dependent on budgets. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sheethal. Robert, we'll go to you next. Same question about overdevelopment and class sizes in Parsippany.
So Parsippany is facing a lot of development over the coming years because of the affordable housing mandate. And I think that it's extremely important that we work with our elected officials. We negotiate with them and with developers so we know exactly where these projects are going, how many children may be added to our district, and making sure that those children will be funded, whether it's, if the township opts to do a pilot program, making sure that our district receives funding for each child.
Okay, Robert, thank you. And Jack, finally, if you would please weigh in on the issue of overcrowding and school class sizes.
Well, I'm a big believer in measuring what matters. You could have two different school districts. One could be spending $15,000 per student, another could be spending $10,000 per student, but the one spending $10,000 may be using their funds more efficiently and maybe providing a better education for their kids. Other than student class size and cost per student, I'd like to see what other metrics exist currently, and then see if there's ways to see if you could get a better yield from the tax dollars that are available. I'd like to start with those and work on any other key results that could provide a useful tool for the board to help make its decisions in partnership with the superintendent and her staff.
Okay, thank you, Jack. All right, question number 3. We're going to start with Robert on this one. What goals would you set for your district, and how will you know if they are being accomplished?
So one of the biggest things for me is an increased use of technology. I think the past couple of years has definitely proven that technology is the big thing for classrooms. We want to make sure that we're using the latest systems. We want to make sure our students are doing what they're supposed to be doing on their computers during school hours. And we need to be in regular contact with our fellow board members, the administration, and really prepare for a giant influx of students with this coming development. But one other big thing for me is preventing underage substance use and abuse, whether it be vaping, alcohol, or whatever within school hours. And I think that's becoming an issue with the whole, advent of vaping. Is we don't know where it's, when they're doing it. So we need to monitor our bathrooms and making sure our kids aren't making poor decisions.
Okay, Robert, thank you. Judy, same question to you. What goals would you set for the district, and how will you know if they're being accomplished?
Thank you. The goals I support for the district are incorporated in the strategic plan, which was developed by the Board of Education and various stakeholders. Included are creating an innovative and rigorous educational experience, social emotional support, and professional growth for our educators. There are detailed updates by the superintendent to the board. She comes in and gives us a full presentation of how each of these goals is being met. And the public is certainly welcome to attend. They are also posted on our website. The last update that she gave was on, I believe, September 23rd. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Jack, to you next.
Okay.
Tell us about your goals and how you will track them.
Okay, I'm a big believer that if you can't measure something, it doesn't really matter. So I would look for ways to take the strategic goals that the superintendent presented, and I thought that was an excellent presentation in September. I'd want to set goals that could be reached and maybe establish stretch goals that are maybe a little bit harder to achieve, but maybe worth pursuing. One of the things in the goals, I would want to drill down. Mrs. Mayer mentioned, support, emotional support to establish good citizens. One thing to establish is what defines a citizen. And that, I think we would want to just maybe get a more finely tuned definition of that. Maybe it has been done in previous board meetings, but that's something that we would want to look at. But the goal of achieving social and emotional support doesn't really measure something. So I'd want to like try to establish more quantitative ways to establish goals that we would want to achieve. And then from that point, we can establish, by quantifying things, it provides tools that will help us, establish that our children are doing, better, and that they're progressing and improving as we go along.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Finally, last one on that question, Sheethal, please tell us about your goals and how you measure them.
Thank you. My goals for this district would be to improve student safety, their mental, physical, and emotional health, as well as their academic success. Develop good policies to help keep money in the classrooms while being very mindful of how we spend. One of the particular goals that I would have in mind is special needs. I would love to have parents ask far more questions and learn what needs and wants are important for them and their children in their classrooms, and request clarity if there's any kind of confusion as to what their children may need. I would be willing to work very diligently with the other board members to achieve these goals. And I really believe that my experiences as a parent have really prepared me to work well with these teams to achieve these goals in an efficient manner. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheethal. Actually, we're going to stay with you for the next question. Question number 4 to Sheethal first. That question is, what is your position on mask and vaccine mandates for school children and staff? Certainly an issue that has been in the news quite a bit. Sheethal, please respond first.
Thank you. As we all know, these are two very controversial topics at the moment, and I do firmly believe that neither of them should be mandated on the population. I believe that the parents and staff can make their own decisions on both of these items for themselves and for their children. And I believe that at most of all, we should be looking at both the risk and benefits of all of these interventions and let everyone make the decisions that they believe are best for their families. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sheethal. Jack, would you please answer the same question? What is your position on mask and vaccine mandates for children and staff at school?
I am against government mandates, and I am for empowering parents. Parents, one-size government doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't work very well at all. Parents can make their own decisions regarding masks based on their own circumstances. They may have reasons to ask their children to wear masks, but that should be left up to the parent. But they should not be mandated by New Jersey or by the federal government, because it's overall, I don't think it's enhancing education, especially for younger children. On vaccines, I'm certainly against vaccine mandates as well. Again, that is up to the parents of children, and they can decide what is best for them. And I am, just to expand upon that just slightly, I am disgusted by the treatment of healthcare workers, people in our military, firemen and policemen who have been forced to take a vaccine or face firing. Our healthcare workers, our nurses were, last year, they were our heroes, and now we're ready to throw them to the curb, and they can't even collect unemployment benefits to boot. I just think that is a black stain on what we're doing to these people, and I am certainly against that. It's certainly against the Nuremberg Code as well.
Okay, Jack, thank you.
Okay.
We will go to Judy next. Your position on mask and vaccine mandates for students and school staff.
Thank you. As a sitting board member, I have sat through many board meetings where parents have come forth with concerns on both sides. Some are very strongly opposed to the masks, and some support the masks. Having had kids in the district, having grandchildren in another school district, I can see both arguments. It doesn't matter what we say. The government has said that is the mandate. We have to follow the mandate. I believe that parents have the right to determine how their children how they are treated, what they have to wear. If it was up to me personally, I would like to see that parents have the option of having their child masked or not masked, but it is not up to me. Right now, it's a government issue, as much as we would not like it to be. I as a parent, hate the idea that parents are being told how to take care of their kids. It's very difficult. And I'm torn because I hear parents, they come to meetings. We've had children come to meetings, and it breaks my heart to hear how difficult it is for children. But at this point, there's really not a whole lot we can do until the governor loosens that up. And then when he does, I hope he'll make it optional. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, Robert, last one on that question. Your position, please, on mask and vaccine mandates.
To echo a little bit with what Judy said, it is a shame that this governor has not given the different Board of Education throughout the state the opportunity to make that decision on behalf of the voters that elected them. When it comes to mask and vaccine mandates, we need to allow each child to go to school and get their education in the classroom, not virtual, not limiting who is allowed in the building. And that means we have to allow kids, and we need to do it safely, social distancing, whatever is necessary to make sure that we can unmask our kids, not have vaccine mandates, and have all the children in one place like it was 3 years ago. That was how our education system worked well, and that's what we need to go back to. With this fractured classroom where half kids are there, half the kids aren't, or some kids are virtual, I'm quarantined this week, it just doesn't make for a good learning environment. They need stability.
Okay, Robert, thank you so much. All right, everyone, we're down to our fifth and final question before we let you wrap up for yourself. The question is, and it will go to Jack first. Do you believe that critical race theory is a radical ideology? What is your view on CRT in school districts?
Yes, it is a radical theory. I'm a big Martin Luther King fan. His phrase of judging people not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character should be gospel for everyone. CRT turns that on its head and makes all judgment of people based on the color of their skin, and it's unacceptable. It defines oppressors and the oppressed based solely on skin color. It is poison for our society, and if it prevails, it will lead to tribalism in our society, where people aggregate only with people like themselves. It's like the worst thing for this country possible. And in addition to critical race theory, I think we could throw Howard Zinn textbooks, his People's History of the United States, into that category as well as being poison for our children.
Okay, Jack, thank you. Judy, same question to you. Please weigh in on CRT and your view of it in school districts.
Thank you. I taught in this district for 23 years. I never even heard, honestly, of critical race theory. I have only become aware. It's been in existence for 40 years. I researched it. I don't support it. I mean, Parsippany is such a melting pot that, we don't look at color. We don't look at ethnicity. We just look at our children. I do not in any shape or form support critical race theory.
Thank you, Judy. Okay, Sheethal, will you please answer the question about critical race theory and what your view of is it for the school district?
Thank you. I certainly do not believe that CRT or any political ideologies belong in the classroom. And there are some people that may say that depending on the lens and the vehicles, that it may be a radical ideology. I firmly believe that parents should be able to see what is on their curriculum, their books, the surveys. They should be able to come to board meetings, request changes, and be involved. We want all of our children to have a good education that will prepare them for the future, but focused solely on subjects of math, science, social studies, physical education, reading, writing, etc. as a priority above all else. We all want our children to be supported, and become compassionate and responsible individuals as well. But I also want them to learn how to think very critically, not just what to think. Promoting certain attitudes and focusing less on the academic content can be detrimental to our children. I firmly believe that parents and teachers can be influential to students in many ways and inspire them for years after they leave school, as I have when I look back at my own years in school. However, I don't believe in analyzing children's traits and sensitivities without their or their parents' consent. I believe that parents are the first teachers for their children, and as such, they should be the ones laying down the foundation for their behaviors, attitudes, opinions, and beliefs. And I hope the teachers can continue doing their part to help their students succeed academically, encouraging them to do their best and have integrity above all else without any of these ideologies clouding their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheethal. Okay, Robert, the last one to answer that question, please, about CRT.
So I absolutely believe it is a radical ideology, and I think the only thing you need to read to know that is this quote from a critical race theorist, which is discrimination that creates equity can be considered anti-racist. So they're promoting discrimination. I just can't get over that. You know, we're a diverse town. We have a large Asian community. We have all these different communities, and they come together under one roof during school hours. So to now throw race in the classroom and fuel the fan the flames, it's just, I don't think that is definitely not what we need in our schools. The fight over social equity or equality or whatever you want to call it, it has no place in the classroom.
Okay, Robert, thank you so much. All right, to the candidates, we are now at the wrap-up phase. I would love each of you to please share up to 2 minutes about why you are the right candidate for the Board of Education, what sets you apart, and ask your constituents for their vote. So we're going to start in reverse order of the intros. Judy, we're going to start with you. Judy Mayer, please give us your final closing comments.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Elizabeth, for being the moderator for this event. I want to thank my fellow candidates for their willingness to serve our community and share their thoughts this evening, and I wish all of them best of luck. I feel that I am very well qualified to serve on the board. I am an educator, as I stated, who was a teacher in Parsippany for 22 years. It seems logical that a Board of Education would benefit with someone having my background. I can bring a perspective to the table that other board members are not aware. I would very much like to serve another term and would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Sheethal Abraham, please let us know why the constituents of Parsippany should vote for you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I've chosen to be a board member. I want to dedicate myself to serving the school community as much as I can to ensure that Parsippany continues to maintain its reputation for safety, achievements, and fiscal responsibility. We have all been through a lot in the last 2 years, and there's still so much to be done. There will be more challenges, more opportunities for growth, and goals to be met. I hope to develop some good policies, establish and accomplish some great goals, and work with the community to achieve them while remaining fiscally responsible with my colleagues on the board. I'm proud to be running with my friend and lifelong Parsippany resident and PHS graduate, Robert Quinn. As a team, we want to see the board maintain their practices, increase technology in the classroom, support special education, and give parents a much higher voice in their children's education. We believe one way to do this is to be as transparent as possible in communications to the school as board members and involve and advocate with the parents and students as much as possible. I'm honored to be in this election with these brilliant and capable candidates, and Robert and I care very strongly about our community and our schools, and we humbly request that you please consider voting for us in the BOE election on November 2nd as number 2 and number 5 on the ballot. And thank you again for all your support.
Thank you very much. Jack, Raia, please share with us your closing comments.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening tonight. Just one thing on the mask mandate. The board made a decision, and to go against the mandate from the state would have cost on the order of 7 figures, if I understand correctly. So I can understand why there was no pushback on it, but they really didn't have any choice. I'd like to also say that I am a big parents advocate. I think parents should work in partnership with the school board. I think the board has been very receptive to parents, much more so than in some of the other towns across the country, where it just seems to be they don't even care about what the parents have to say. I think parents are raising their children, and they have a huge amount of input in their lives, and they should work in partnership with the board. And I encourage parents to attend board meetings and see what's going on and voice your opinions if you have a different point of view. I think it's going to be welcome. And I did point out to the board that I've attended about 4 or 5 meetings now, and I am very favorably impressed with them. So whether I am elected or not, and I hope I am, and I hope I have a chance to serve, I think the people of Parsippany and the children of Parsippany will be in very good hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Finally, Robert Quinn, please give us your closing comments.
While I'm proud of the Parsippany School District's numerous awards, including consistently being ranked one of the best school districts in Morris County by niche.com, there's always more to be done. I'm running for the Board of Education to be part of that process and to continue to build on the great foundation we have today. I'm thankful for the opportunity to answer your questions tonight and to provide some insight into how I feel I'm uniquely qualified to run for the Board of Education and serve our community. I want to thank my running mate, Sheethal, and kindly ask that you vote for me and Sheethal on November 2nd. And I want to also thank Judy Mayer and Jack Raia for running a good race.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Okay, that is the end of our forum. I want to thank you, candidates, for joining, being willing to serve your community. And to the audience listening, please share this. Anyone that you know that lives in Parsippany, the more you can share this, the more the voters will be informed. And to the Parsippany constituents, do your homework. This is an incredibly important election, and we all see more and more every day why Board of Education is so important. Remember, early voting starts October 23rd. Election day is November 2nd. So voting will be starting very, very soon. So to the candidates, thank you again for joining us tonight. And to everyone else, have a great evening, and we'll see you in a few days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.